Is your child's anxiety holding them back from experiencing their absolute best life? As parents, we want nothing more than for our children to be happy, healthy, and especially as they hit the grade school and teenage years, calm and confident. But the reality is that even before all the lockdowns and added pressures that COVID restrictions put on our kids, there was already a mental health crisis of anxiety brewing in our schools and in our families. And then for teens, it doubled once again during COVID. The CDC states that about 10% of US kids are struggling with anxiety right now, but other sites and studies put the rates at much higher than that, especially for teens. In our practice, not only have we seen more and more kids struggling with anxiety, but the absolute worst part is that we're seeing it younger and earlier than ever before. When I first got into practice, the earliest we'd seen anxiety was in high school. And now we've seen kids as young as preschool and kindergarten struggling with anxiety and sensory issues so bad that they can't even make it in the door or through the day. This goes far beyond attachment issues or parenting and points to something much deeper going on, which is exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. First, we're going to address the most important question: what are the real root causes of anxiety? Is it really just genetic or chemical imbalance, like traditional doctors continue to say? Is it really just social media and cell phones? Or is there something even deeper going on? And is stress and toxicity hitting our kids earlier in life than ever before and creating a perfect storm of stress and anxiety that gets stuck and hardwired into their nervous system? This video is perfect not just for parents whose children are struggling with anxiety, but more importantly, those who want drug-free options and solutions that get to the root cause of their child's anxiety and address it head on. Let me tell you a little bit about Avery. Avery, from the outside looking in, her teachers, her coaches, all thought that she was successful and exceptional. She consistently scored high in school, did her assignments all on time, contributed in class discussion. She was really active in cheerleading and dance. Her coaches were always impressed by her drive, her focus, determination, and they praised her for all of her hard work and dedication. And Avery thrived in these conditions, but at home, her parents were seeing something completely different when asking her to complete her homework, to eat dinner, to get to sleep. She began to complain of headaches and insomnia. Her appetite became irregular. She had trouble concentrating when doing her homework. Her attitude declined, often becoming snippy or rude to her parents and her brother. She's still the same talented, unique, and special young person who succeeds during the day, but she seems stressed and increasingly unhappy and anxious at home. So it's difficult to say what happened first. One thing quickly led to the other. But how do we go from being really successful during the day to this high-functioning anxiety when we get to our house and when she gets home? Avery came in for some scans, and what they clearly pointed out was that her sympathetic system was stuck on and leaving her in a constant state of tension and irritability. The area of red tension in her initial scans correlated with subluxation and dysfunction that would affect her adrenal glands, which are known to be a big player when it comes to sensory and anxiety conditions. We did some new scans 90 days later, and it showed her parents exactly what they were experiencing at home, was that she was now rested, she slept much better, she woke up easier, she was starting to eat again, she was much more relaxed. Her changes were incredible. She's still that driven, high-functioning kid outside, but now her parents can see that at home as well. So let's get into the different science and steps of what anxiety is. First of all, what is anxiety? What's its definition? It's described as an intense feeling of worry or fear about the future, which can manifest through thoughts, emotions, and physical sensations. It's totally normal for a child or person to have some anxiety before a big test, a big game, new things, new schools. But if they have it every day, just going into school or going through routine daily tasks, that's where the struggle really sets in for kids and families. What are some signs and symptoms of anxiety? Some common signs and symptoms in children are listed, including nervousness, restlessness, increased heart rate, trouble concentrating, difficulty sleeping, and some GI problems, known as nervous stomach. Like most neurological conditions in kids, there are usually multiple challenges all wrapped together, which is why so many kids with sensory processing disorder, autism spectrum disorder, and ADHD also have significant issues with anxiety. What do we look at when we look at our neuro-based focus and root cause approach? Both of our clinical experience and latest scientific research proves that anxiety is caused by more than just genetics and chemical imbalances, and instead caused by and triggered by the continual exposure to stress and toxins in our environment, especially early on in pregnancy, labor and delivery, and early childhood, something we call the perfect storm, which explains how these things become a vicious cycle and get stuck on early and often. When we talk about birth intervention and connection, like all neurodevelopmental disorders in kids, we strongly feel the single most overlooked and missed aspect of anxiety is the role that birth interventions and birth trauma play. Where common and heavily used interventions like C-section, forceps, vacuum extraction, and induction can trigger a sympathetic fight or flight response within the child's nervous system from an early age that over time gets stuck on and far too easily stimulated and activated. The nerdy neurological terms for all of this are things such as subluxation and dysautonomia, which both occur when the nervous system is stuck in that sympathetic overdrive, which also means the parasympathetic and vagus nerve, the rest, relaxed, regulate side of the brain and nervous system, are shut down or depressed. Our drug-free approach to care begins with first a cutting-edge and state-of-the-art neurological exam using what's called the Insight scans, and most notably HRV, or heart rate variability, which can measure how stressed out and stuck on the sympathetic nervous system really is, and most importantly, how shut down and dysfunctional the vagus nerve might be. We strongly feel that the leading care option for this generation and all future generations of kids and adults struggling with anxiety needs to move far beyond simply drugs and medications that cover up the symptoms only, and needs to focus entirely on activating and stimulating the vagus nerve and parasympathetic nervous system. That is exactly what makes our care so unique and so helpful at vastly improving the quality of life for kids and parents struggling with anxiety. We do not seek to treat the symptoms or cure anxiety, but instead focus on stimulating and activating the vagus nerve and getting the autonomic nervous system back in a calmer and more regulated state. Get drug-free, neuro-focused help today. Click the link below or in our bio to learn more about anxiety, its root causes, dysautonomia, the vagus nerve, and so much more. There is absolutely hope, answers, and drug-free help for your child, and it starts by learning more on our website or sending us a DM to find out more about how we can neurologically focused chiropractic care may be able to help.